this, the business model, the business structure, and we went through this stuff here, showing all the things, the services that we wrap around the accounting firm through strategically aggregating them, and we go through, what that is, what strategic aggregation is. All right, now here is new, and what this is, hold on a sec. That's probably Dennis. Hold on. Hello? Yeah, it is. And the folks who get in, go in and they click on that link that I sent out, and sometimes that asks for a password. Yeah, so you just go out and come back in again, and it does, and it goes right past it. There's a password in there. Okay. Yeah, and then just try it again. Yeah, try it. Yeah. Yeah, because there shouldn't be a password. I don't know why it's even asking for one. All right. If push comes to shove, try calling in, because that's how John Beaton got it. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, it might have. All right. But anyway, yeah, just try going in and then Xing out if once you can't put in a password, and then come back on it again, and it should let you through. Okay, bye. Yeah, that was this. Okay. Anywho, all right, so this part is new. Can everybody, by the way, see my screen okay, or am I talking to myself here?
No, I see it.
We see it.
John can't see it, but that's all right.
John can't see it. That's okay. All right. Well, what this says is business structure here is part of what I'm going through. And what it starts with is the accounting firm, okay? So that's the first little graphic over here on the left-hand side. And what we're going to be showing these folks is that, and those of you who are aficionados of Merit will recognize this, we're going to break up the accounting firm into three components. A management company, a consulting firm, and an accounting firm. So the only things that will get done in the accounting firm are things you have to be licensed to be a CPA to do. So if it's an audit, if it's anything to do with tax work for a client, anything that you have to have a CPA license in order to qualify to do it, that's going to get done out of the accounting firm. Anything else that doesn't require an accountant's CPA designation will be done out of the consulting firm. And then there'll be a management company, which basically will be, which will have a management contract with the consulting firm and with the accounting firm to run the accounting firm, okay, and to run the consulting firm. Okay, so if you can kind of just picture that structure in your head for just a little bit. Okay, so now the accounting firm is gone because, the original accounting firm, because it's now a small or much smaller firm. It's at the bottom there, the accounting firm. And whatever functions it used to do and will do in the future that aren't accounting will be in the consulting firm, and then the management company manages the affairs of both those companies. Okay, so next is what we're going to be doing here on the National Diversified side is we're going to be forming a brand new company, which will be the branding company. It will own all the IP that makes all of this possible, and it will do the licensing to the consulting company and the accounting firm and the management company that allows the use of all of our intellectual property and name to be attached to these various firms. So in other words, every firm that comes in is going to come under this branding theme and will take on the name of the master accounting firm, so to speak, that's going to do all this. So let's just say it's ABC. Okay, so every firm will license the use of the name ABC Accounting Firm or accountants. The consulting firms will all become ABC Consulting, and the management companies will all become ABC Accounting, and then some derivation of their city, wherever else it is that they are. So the bottom line is that every company we acquire, we don't acquire them right away. The first thing we do is we break them up into these three components, restructure them. The old ownership continues to own all three companies. And these companies take on contracts and name identification that enables them to participate under what it is you're going to see next. Okay, and that those licenses and contracts go out from the branding company to those three companies. Now up the top, what you're seeing is hundreds of replications of what you're seeing down the bottom. So in other words, if you look at this here, the management company, consulting firm, accounting firm, that gets replicated hundreds of times, as we do this with hundreds of accounting firms all over the, never mind the country, but all over the world. And all of them have the same arrangement with the brand and licensing company. And then the goal is going to be to take this whole thing public, and you're going to see the structure for that. And at the time that it comes to take them public, so until we actually get ready to take this thing public, everything is really controlled out of the branding and licensing company through licensing agreements and management contracts with the management company, who in turn manages the affairs of the consulting and accounting firm. So it's through this and contractual arrangements with these companies and licensing arrangements that the whole thing hangs together until it's ready to go public or near ready to go public. Once it's ready to go public, okay, then all these companies, of which this would just be one of them, are then acquired by the branding company. Now, the accounting firms will not be acquired, and the reason for that is because in most states you have to be a CPA to own an accounting firm. So that's the reason that we're breaking these companies up into these components, because otherwise life could have been a lot simpler, because we would just have the main company acquire the accounting firm, well, or make a deal with the accounting firm or a joint venture with the accounting firm. Well, if in order to give everyone the benefit of going public, what we have to do is we have to structure it so that only the accounting work is done in the accounting firm. That has to be owned by CPAs. The consulting firm can eventually be owned by anybody, and that's where all of the work that's not required to be in accounting is done. And then the management company is designed in such a way that it manages these two companies, but its compensation structure basically takes the earnings of both these companies and moves them to the management company. So this contract that it has with these two other entities here pull all the profits really of these two entities up into the management company. Now, since they all start out with the same ownership, it doesn't matter that we pull all the income up here. It's just taking it out of somebody's left pocket and putting it into their right pocket. The difference is we can't acquire the left pocket, but we can acquire the right pocket. So if we move all the income up here, when we acquire this right pocket, so to speak, we're acquiring the real income earning capacity of the accounting firm, of the consulting firm, and so that's how we eventually get the value here. The economic value is in the management company, and that can be owned by the branding company. And when we do that with hundreds of these CPA firms, this branding company is going to have an extraordinary source of income through these arrangements here. Okay, and this is the company that's going to go public. Now, what does that do? Okay, here's the multiplier. Here's the financial leverage that comes out of this structure. if you look at the accounting practice and the consulting firm, which is where the income gets generated out of, okay, what have we done to those companies? If you remember, we've strategically aggregated them so that the accounting firm, is getting the accounting income, but the consulting firm is now getting income from all of those services that we've added. And because it's getting income from all those services that we've added, and because there's the cross-marketing going on between those services and the companies that were at one time supplying those services, the accounting revenue is getting bigger and the consulting revenue is getting very, very big through that process. So these are growing through aggregation. That's what's driving for this particular firm. This is what's driving their internal growth in income. So if you look at what aggregation is going to do for them, it's going to take this income from the cross-marketing and everything else that's going on, and it's going to increase the income by a minimum of a factor of 5. So 5 years from today, whatever these companies would have earned had they just stayed separate, because of aggregation and the addition of all the consulting revenue that they're now going to participate in, it's going to increase by at least a factor of 5 whatever was going to be earned by the accounting firm when it stood alone over here. So that's the first multiplier of income and net profit. The second multiplier is the IPO, which basically takes the equity value of the accounting firm from 4 to 20 times net. Okay, how does that happen? Well, if you look at an accounting firm, at best they make 25% on sales. In other words, the profitability of the accounting firm is roughly 25% of revenue. Since they sell at 1 times revenue, it's just simple math. Okay, what's an accounting firm worth if it sells at 1 times revenue? And if net profits is 25%, then it's selling at 4 times its net revenue. It's just math. So that's the traditional best circumstance value for an accounting firm. If they're making less than that in profit, then it's even less. But let's just assume they're making their 25%. When we take that income, and in fact all of the income, we aren't talking about 4% anymore once we go to IPO, because now this is becoming a public company. And at a public company, this will be a growth company, as you'll see in a second. So it's going to command at least a 20 times earnings multiple, because its year-over-year growth is going to be phenomenal. And I'll explain why that's going to be true in just a minute. So a 20 times earning multiple on a growth company is actually a very conservative price earnings multiple. So instead of just earning 4 times the income, having equity value of 4 times the net profit, we're going to create through the IPO an equity value in the ownership at 20 times the net profit. All right, now how does the net profit build so that this company, when it goes public, will command at least a 20 times price earnings ratio? Okay, here's how it's going to happen. Okay, we're not just going to go out and let all these firms just come into this IPO company here right away. Okay, because if we did it all right away, you'd have this big boom of what this company was worth. And lo and behold, when you do that, the company has this explosive growth in 1 year, and then it's not going to grow much anymore. Okay, so what we're going to do is, beginning in around the 2nd or 3rd year, we're going to have some of these companies come in, and they're going to want to come in, because the earlier a company comes in, the more it's going to benefit from the others who come behind it, because of the nature of the way the stock will be exchanged between their companies and the IPO company, the company that's going to IPO. So there'll be an advantage to getting in first. Everybody's going to want to fight to be the early bird in to this because they come out with a better deal. But we're not going to let them all in at once. We're going to take the guys who have the best growth records and who are really making the most contribution. We're going to let them in as the earlier companies. And then we're going to time the entry of these companies so that they happen at an increasing rate over a 3-year period, which means that you're going to have 3 years of planned growth. In other words, we're going to be able to control our growth rate of the earnings of this company right here. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because when people look at the earnings history of the company, they're going to see a growth company that is exploding, but over 3 years, so that it will be a phenomenal growth company. And when the price earnings ratio gets put on a company, it's not based on its earnings alone. It's based on how fast it's increasing those earnings. Well, through the planning of letting these guys in at a rate that we determine, this company will have a growth rate that quarter over quarter will be accelerating for several years into the future. So that type of growth record is what will help command at least a 20 times earnings rate on the company, so that at the time that it goes public, the idea is to make sure that it has the history of growth that commands at least a 20 times multiple on the earnings. So that's basically it. So now if you look at the math again, what we've done here by this little strategic bit of planning here is we've multiplied the exit value for the owners of the accounting firm by a factor of 25. In other words, they get 5 times the income from aggregation and all the processes that produces. And then we, so that's basically 5. And then if you go from 4 times to 20 times as the valuation of your company, you just increase the basis of valuation 5 times. So 5 times 5 is 25. So if the value of an accounting firm on the day they came with us was $1 million, the exit value for that accounting ownership, the people who own that accounting firm, would be 25 million through the IPO. And when you look at that kind of equity acceleration, equity leverage, it's huge. I mean, really huge. That's Donald Trump's favorite word, it seems, huge. Okay, so that's the economic benefit of people coming into this structure. In other words, if I've got an accounting firm, I'm going to have 25 times the exit value in 3 to 5 years that I would have had I just kept running my firm. That makes this a no-brainer for anybody who wants to come in. Okay, so this is the mathematical strategic structure of what's going to produce phenomenal value out of what used to be just a plain old ordinary accounting firm. Okay, now there are some things here that you also didn't see, and that's that the thing that we're going to be very careful to do. We're not going to let just any accounting firm into our deal. Okay, and the reason for it is culture. In other words, we want to build a worldwide firm that has a common culture to it, so that all the offices that are affiliated with this, which will look to the world like it's one accounting firm. The world doesn't go underneath that to see the structuring underneath. They just see that this is the name on the door, this is the accounting firm, and if you go to the one in New York, it's got the same name, the same culture, the same feel, taste, and touch, whether it's New York, Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, whatever. And so when we recruit these accounting firms, we're going to be very careful to look for ones that, number one, are service, in other words, that are comfortable with service decisions which are client-centric. In other words, every decision we make about the services we offer, about the services we give, about how we give them, are with the client's benefit and best interest in mind. We don't bring in services that don't deliver on their promise. We don't take in anything that isn't there to absolutely make the client a raving fan of this firm. And so this comes, I guess, a little bit from my retail background, which is the training there is if you take good care of the client will take good care of you. So number one, we're there to benefit the clients. We're there to make sure that these businesses grow. We're there to make sure that they're profitable and that they're meeting the objectives of the people who own those companies that are our clients. We're also not interested, by the way, in competing with the Big Four. In other words, the Big Four go after the multinational, Fortune 1000 companies, and they have these big audit fees for auditing them as public companies. That's not the market that we want to go into. We're going into all the services that are for that $2 to $50 to $100 million a year company, and being there to help them grow their companies. So we're an entrepreneur's accounting firm, not a big multinational corporations accounting firm. The second core value that we're going to recruit to, so that again, and everything looks the same, are those folks who are comfortable where structural decisions are partner-centric. In other words, unless the decision interferes with number one, then we make that decision for what benefits the partners of the firms and the partners of the full company. But we don't let that need interfere with our first obligation, which is to the client. So the partner's needs are met second, if you will, after the client is put first. And then the third core value is the outcomes of everything we do, every transaction we do, every service we offer, is at the end of the day, its outcome has to be societally beneficial. Okay, and that's going to be true even if it interferes with values 1 and 2. So that at the end of the day, we have a firm which is clearly it's clearly organized in such a way that the community wins, the state wins, the country wins, the world wins. So that everything we build is built to make a better life environment for everybody, not just our own people, but everybody. And we don't do anything in the first and second value sets that would in any way interfere with the fact that it has to be societally beneficial, or frankly, we just don't do it. And the prime directive of what we do is to add so much new value to each transaction and every relationship that we're involved in as a company, that all parties win, and in fact they win big. So it's not about zero-sum game. It's not about trying to create transactions that if I win, you lose. It's all about how do we build into every transaction, every relationship, more value than existed before, so that everybody has an opportunity to win. And it's not only in the transactions that we do, but it's even to help our clients within their companies, so that when we help the companies grow, it's going to be along the lines of the employees are going to win, the suppliers are going to win, the customers are going to win, the owners are going to win, the lenders are going to win, everybody who's a party to the growth of that business is going to win, including the communities that those companies are involved in. And the key to allowing this to happen, the key to building an organization with these values, is the ability to add value. So we're going to take the aggregation business model, which adds tremendous value to those companies, and a piece of that profit is going to be allocated to making sure that every part of this happens. So if people are coming from a place of greed and it's all about them, they're not our ideal client. If we're dealing with an accounting firm and it's all about how they make money off their clients, not for us. Okay, this is about how we build a phenomenal enterprise with a whole bunch of folks where everybody walks away from this a winner, and they can do it because the value added covered the additional value that's necessary for everybody to have that win and to participate and to benefit from their participation. So that's it, okay? And this is basically the business model, and maybe this will make a little more sense down here that you've seen the structural model, because it's a branded network of owned entities, strategic alliances, and joint ventures orchestrated through licensing and management agreements. And if you go back here to this is what you have. In other words, until the IPO, this company here benefits from income from its branding and licensing of these companies here. But the main profits are kept here until the IPO. Once the IPO happens, the management company is already pulling off all the profits of what was here. And so when these two companies are then merged into this company here, at that point, all of this becomes owned, but it's still a licensing relationship and a management contract relationship with the accounting firm that allows us to control and benefit from the accounting firm, even though the IPO company technically does not own the accounting firm. All the benefits still flow here. All the benefits still are part of this leverage of all of these income factors, because the income is pulled up through here into this company here. And every one of these companies participate in this company's ownership based on its contribution of profit to this whole thing. So all of these companies get acquired on an earn-out formula that enables them to all benefit proportionally in the ownership of this to the income that they're providing for the whole. So everybody wins by merit, everybody wins by having the right core value system, and everybody wins because we've added tremendous value. Any questions?
Gordon, this is Mark. I have a couple of questions. Is this, when we approach accounting firms now, do we go this deep with them now? Is this to the point that it's ready to roll out for us as we have conversations?
Okay, we've already had a conversation with a firm in Phoenix that tells us that this is going to work just great. Okay, we have had preliminary talks with two larger accounting firms out of New York City, which tells us that this is going to work just great. And when I get back from New York, my goal is to come back with the agreement in principle with the two New York firms that I'm going to be talking to participate exactly in this structure, exactly as I've described it to you. And then to use those three accounting firms as the initial model for bringing in all the rest of the accounting firms. Now, the reason that this is important is even leaders tend to be a little bit me too, okay? And once you've got a couple of accounting firms who are involved in this and where we've perfected the documentation that brings them in under this umbrella here, then there is a track to run on for everyone else that we want to bring in. And even though there's a complexity to it, that fades once you have people you can point to and said, here's how we brought in the ABC firm, the BCQ firm, and the Y1A firm. Okay, and here's what we did, and here's how it's all arranged. And when we bring you in, we'll be bringing you in under the same arrangement. All right, now, by the time we get to where we're presenting it to accounting firms, really presenting it to them, we will have a model that will show what the income was when they were this. Okay, right here. Okay, what happens to that income when they do this? what happens to that income when they do this? What happens to that income when they do this? Okay, so that everything will be stepped out for them, so that they can see step by step what happens when they give up ownership. Because we're up until the time we go public, they really don't give up anything. They just get stuff. Okay, and this company here gets stuff too, because the minute they start operating under this umbrella with the branding and the aggregation and all the things that we're going to be supporting them in doing, okay, then we will be driving enough benefit here that a portion of that shared back in licensing fees here will provide a phenomenal income for this company as it's working towards the IPO. Also, which I didn't put in here because it would complicate the illustration, is there's two ways that these folks are going to grow their business, right? There's the internal growth, which is the aggregation, the bringing in of new services under their umbrella. Okay, all of that is part of how they're going to grow, but they're also going to grow by acquisition, okay, because we're going to take in a given city, and if we've got a great accounting firm there, we'll support the hell out of them by helping them buy up other accounting firms and bringing them under their umbrella. So that isn't even in here as a way that they're going to earn more money. We already know how we're going to finance all their growth. Okay, we know how we're going to do this through private equity companies that are funded out of 401ks. We already know how we're going to be funding their clients who want to grow by acquisition and who want, equity capital as a way to build those. That, in other words, that nothing has changed in that equity, private equity model that is going to be there to start acquiring all these companies that are coming for sale as a result of the baby boomer. This is what you're seeing here is a parallel to that. This is the accounting profession parallel that enables us to have the contact and the endorsed introductions to all the companies that we're going to be either helping to grow by acquisition or helping them sell their companies and optimize them for sale. So this is one structure. This is not the acquisition structure when we get into the clients of the accounting firm, okay, because that's where everything gets explosive. I mean, really explosive. So I just wanted a simple illustration, as simple as I could figure out how to make it, to show the accounting firms how the structure by which they're going to come into the system. Because the questions that they're going to be likely to ask is, well, are you going to contribute capital to my company? Okay, the answer is maybe. Okay, if they need capital, we'll create it for them. How will we create it? Through our private equity companies, through the 401k retirement programs that we'll be able to use and have them rolled over into that structure. Again, I'm not going to go through that structure now because we went through it before. Okay, who's going to own my company? Well, you are until it's pulled into the IPO. Who's going to control my company? You are, because you're going to be the management company up here, and you're going to run these companies through this, and they'll perform in certain ways, because if they don't, they can't maintain their licensing agreement. If you want to be part of this, you have to agree to all the rules that are going to be part of this, but you're going to run your company and you're going to manage it. So now when the IPO occurs, all these management companies are pulled in here. So then this company will have a management structure that eventually runs all these companies, but by that time you're cashed out at 25 times what your equity would have been when for the building process that helped this to occur. So that's basically the structure. And I don't know if I answered your question, or did I answer too much or too little. What did I do there, Mark?
Around that.
Yes. Okay. And when we deal with these accounting firms, okay, here's what you want. Here's what I would like everybody to keep in mind. Okay, is that the thing that we're wanting today, tomorrow, and for the next several weeks, is as quickly as we can, and we want to get access to their client base for doing acquisition and merger transactions. Okay, we want to help them grow. They're companies that want to grow by acquisition. We want to help the accounting firm that wants to grow by acquisition. All those same things are true. So the way that everybody's been approaching an accounting firm, nothing right now has changed. Okay, the difference is that at some point they want to know what's the structure going to look like. Okay, in other words, how is it that if this is really going to be all hung together? Like one of the questions we ask is, okay, if you're going to help me grow my accounting firm, remember in the past we had this almost collision where how are we going to help them build their accounting firm? Okay, how do we do that, and how do we end up owning part of it? And then they were concerned because we were going to own part of it, and were we going to get involved in their decision making, and how was that all going to happen? Well, what we did here is we eliminated all that. There's a bunch of rules that they're going to agree to follow in order to be part of the brand and part of the licensing, but they're going to run the company. They're going to continue to own it. It'll be simply broken down into 3 separate structures so that when the IPO occurs, the companies that you do not have to be a CPA to own will be able to be pulled over here, and we're going to take them public. This is the way that an accounting firm can go public. Okay, it's the only way that it can go public because the public company can't own this. Okay, only accountants can own this in most states. So if we had to create a structure that pulls all the income into entities that can become part of what's going to become the public company. Okay, and why should they go through this? 25 times the exit value. Same number of years, virtually the same amount of work, same amount of catering to clients, if you will, but 25 times the difference in the outcome in terms of what they walk away with in 5 years to 7 years or whatever the magic number of years is. Okay, it's a huge, huge difference. So again, I'm not sure I answered your question, but I suppose the answer is you're not going to do anything different with an accounting firm tomorrow than you did yesterday. But at the time we're actually ready to get into the details with them, this is what they're going to be hearing.
Okay, that does answer my question. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Gordon, this is John. My question is from our perspective, would there be any value, or is it going to muddy the waters if we sort of acquired an accounting firm, became a partner? Or should we just stay away from that? Or would there some benefit to us doing that to bring others in faster?
Well, let me give you an example, okay? If we want to take ownership in any of these companies, okay, in an accounting firm, we come up against there's only 2 ways we can do it. One is as a build-up buyout concept, where as we help them build, we earn equity in the company, okay?
Right.
Or we have to invest money in the company. Okay, those are the only 2 ways that the other side is going to give up ownership. Okay, this is actually a 3rd way, okay, where our group, let me go back here. Sorry about that. Our group is going to have its own formula for how we distribute ownership in this company to our internal core group of people, of which you're all part. So we're going to end up owning shares of this. So as these companies come in under the method that I've explained to you, and I'm making this number up, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but let's say our group owns 25% of this company here, and all the other accounting firms all together own 75% of this company here. Okay, then our win is divided into 2 parts. Okay, one is the licensing fees that we're getting here for cash flow, and then the equity value on the IPO for what we own in this company here with all of these companies as together our 75% partner in this. Okay? And remember, all that income from all these firms is always being pulled off through the management company into here. In addition to that, as we're helping these companies grow, as we're helping them develop out the strategic aggregation, as we're helping them to acquire other accounting firms, as we're helping their clients acquire, grow by acquisition, as we're helping their clients sell and optimize the values of their companies for those who want to sell, then our 25% group here is earning flat, straight money, straight income, and equity positions in the clients, in all the things that we're helping do. Everything that we've always talked about is still happening. Okay? The difference is we're working with our partners to do it. Companies that are already aligned with us are already managed in a way that's consistent with our goals because they can't get into this unless they are. Okay, the two companies that I've identified in New York are run by very progressive, and I don't mean that in the political sense. I mean it just, forward-thinking managing partners who are the primary owners of those accounting firms. And these are the guys who are already thinking along these lines in terms of how do they increase their service offerings to their clients. How do they help them grow their businesses? But they're in the dark ages compared to where we are, the total dark ages. And they get it really quickly. These guys that I'm talking to, they get it really quickly how far advanced this model is versus what they're trying to do very piecemeal with no real overarching strategic plan to it. So when they see this, it's like Alice in Wonderland. It's like, oh my God, this is exactly where we need to go. And they already know it. I don't really have to sell them. I have to educate them as to what this is and how it works. And after that, it's like you get out of their way because this is where they know they want to go. They just didn't know they wanted to go here because they couldn't see that. They couldn't see that forest through the trees.
Right.
Okay. And now they see it through the trees, and it's like, yeah, this is where we want to go. So in the past, where we had to deal with analytical accounting managing partners whose attitudes were very antithetical to entrepreneurism, who made decisions really, really slowly based on, copious study and evaluation. Those are not the guys we're talking to. And my sense of it is as we build up this initial group, these guys already know who else is out there that thinks like them. At least they know some of the folks out there, who then know some of the folks out there, who then know some of the folks out there. So it's like networking, and once you start building it, you start attracting those people whose thought processes harmonize to be part of the structure. And it's very important that it be done that way because you want people who already know that they want to go where you're going. We don't want to have to sell them on it. We don't have to convince them of it. We don't want to have to pull them along the way. We want people that once they get it, they jump in and pull the wagon in the same direction. And what I've learned is those folks are out there. And we're talking to enough of them now that I am very, very confident that once these guys are in, they'll be continuing to pull in more, who will pull in more, who will pull in more. Is that the 503 limited?
Sound like a train.
Yeah, it did.
Hey, Gordon, how are you coming across these accounting firms?
Anthony Kane did us a big favor.
Oh, these are Anthony's, huh? Okay.
Yeah, they're the late. He ran into this lady in New York, who's spent her whole adult life apparently cultivating accounting firms and playing matchmaker. And she's done, her whole life has been dedicated to building relationships with these people and understanding them, knowing them, building their confidence in her, and who has the ability to get them on the phone and open them right up to where it is that we're going. She knows the people we should be talking to. She's not wasting our time talking to people who aren't already aligned with this thought process. So she just turned out to be a perfect conduit to these people. Now, you can attribute that to luck, that we found her and that she was in a position to do this, or you can attribute it to putting out the message clear enough that the people who have those connections are easy to link up with, because once you put the message out, they get it and they're there. And that's really what it comes out to. The more clarity we have on what we want to do and where we want to go and how we're going to get there, the easier it's going to get to constantly find the right people who are in effect destined to hook up with us. Because there is no one anywhere who's got the comprehensive thought process worked out, that knows where all the pieces are, all the elements are, how to pull them together in the most advantageous way to everybody, how to align everybody from the get-go with the right values, the right thought processes. In other words, this is not a happy accident that you're looking at here. And it's something that even the very sophisticated accounting firms out of New York City, which is if I have to say where you're going to find the most sophisticated thinkers in the accounting field, it's going to be out of New York City. In order to succeed in that city, you have to be a supreme competitor. You're not going to thrive in that city unless you are. So even folks there have not been able to evolve the thinking to the level of what you're seeing here. And the minute they see it, they know they want to be part of it. They know this is the right thing and the right way to go. They know this is the way to convert what has always been a trade hours for dollars profession, where people could create good incomes but not real wealth, to a way in which they can have a great income and produce incredible wealth out of what they're going to be able to do for the benefit of their clients. And the structure permits them to do that.
Gordon, I've got a quick question.
Sure, Dennis.
So what's the new elevator pitch for a accounting firm? You bump into them?
Great question.
Okay, well, we had that. We showed it to you. It was earlier.
Well, I mean, I just got on 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but this comes out of an older one, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, okay, and here it is. Who are we, okay? Well, hi, John. How are you? What do you do? Well, I am with a private equity company that partners with CPA firms, and we reposition those firms as business growth centers to manage 21st century business complexity so their clients don't have to. And the way we do that is through something called strategic aggregation, where we embed in the accounting firm turnkey systems that allow their clients to grow logarithmically. Who do we do it for? CPA firms that we own, partner with, or which join our network. Why do we do it? To help entrepreneurs thrive that are their clients and create income and wealth for our team and our partners. And where do we do it? Worldwide. Now, I'm still working on these two right here to get them tighter and easier to understand, because the average accountant, we talked to him about strategic aggregation, it doesn't mean anything. So I want to get this down to no more than this number of words, but where I don't have to use terms that people don't understand real well. Okay.
So there's no mention of the going public or anything like that.
No, not yet. Okay, because that's part of this. Okay, why do we do it? Create income and wealth for our team and our partners. Now, how we do that, it's not part of this, but it's part of what we do. Okay, so we're a private equity company that partners with CPAs. We reposition the firms as growth centers for their clients to manage the complexity so clients don't have to. All right, now, how do we do this, okay? How do we do it? I still got a lot of problems with this because I want to get it simple. I know what these words means, but the average person won't know what they mean. So I'm still working on this, and if you got any great suggestions, we'd be glad to listen to them. The rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. These two is where the difficulty is, okay? And the reason that I've positioned this as growth centers, which manage 21st century business complexity, so clients don't have to. When you go to this part of the model here, okay, all of these services that are around the CPA firm, okay, if you go to that, oops, I'm sorry, back that. Wait a minute, let me get back here. Okay, there we are. Okay, this is the problem that's plaguing everybody in business today other than the Fortune 500. The Fortune 500 are big bureaucracies, lots of departments to handle every single thing that happens in their business. It doesn't matter if they're regulated. It doesn't matter if they have tax issues. It doesn't matter if they're in highly competitive markets. They got teams of people that handle every single part of their business, and the CEO is in the job of orchestrating the efforts of the executives of the company who are individually responsible for handling all the pieces of the business. That business is built to deal with complexity. It is by nature complex, and it has systems and standards and methods in place to deal with all that. Now compare that to a $2 million, $5 million, $10 million company, which is a nice size little business. Okay, it's an entrepreneurial, great size business. All right, now you want to automate your CRM program. You want to have a, in order to be competitive in the 21st century, you've got to bring down your costs of operating your business, which means office automation is essential to the growth of your business and your competitiveness. Now, think about the folks that you know who run businesses like that, and think of what their headaches are. They know they've got to have software that does certain things in their business. They hire a consultant. He doesn't know what he's doing. He puts in a system that partially works, partially doesn't work. The owner sits there and has no clue what has to happen, what's going on, why it's not working. He just knows he's writing checks, and the problems keep going on. The system isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and life just goes on like that day after day after day after day. You can go to almost any array of small businesses, meaning companies under 20 million in sales, and I guarantee you that scenario just repeats itself every day. The company has regulations to deal with, government reporting responsibilities. The people in that company may or may not know how to handle those things. They have, they get fined by OSHA, who comes in and decides they don't like the way that the company is handling certain safety factors within the company. These people are not experts in all of these stuff, and what happens is all of those things that they have to cope with become a huge distraction to the entrepreneur, who all he wants to do is build his business. He wants to increase sales. He or she wants to decrease their cost of doing business, make more profit, grow into new areas, and they got all this other stuff that they're not experts in getting in the way. Well, we're going to change that paradigm, okay? And the way we're going to change that paradigm is the accounting firm is going to be the center for getting all of that stuff done. And I'll give you one example of how it's going to work. Okay, we have partners in what we're doing. You haven't met them, but we have partners in what we're doing. One of them is a company called Citrix, who is a company that produces GoToMeeting. Another one's a company called Infusionsoft, who produces the office automation system and the CRM system and the shopping cart systems that now enables us as a company to automate all of our office procedures, sales procedures, marketing procedures, everything. And Infusionsoft just put together a strategic partnership with QuickBooks so that the two systems are being integrated so that they're seamless between the two systems, which means that you'll be able to literally use Infusionsoft to put up a sales funnel where people come to your website, place an order, and from the time that order is placed, everything from the fulfillment of that order to the posting of the transaction, to your books and records, to the depositing of the money in your account, to the reconciliation of your bank account with your books and records, every part of it will be done seamlessly and automatically by the integration of these two pieces of software. Okay, you literally right down to people didn't pay you, collection and emails go out. The people don't respond to your sales message, follows ups go out. You have a product cycle where people come in at one level of product and it upsells them automatically to higher and higher levels of your product for bigger and bigger profits. All of those types of sales funnels, everything can be built into Infusionsoft and integrated with QuickBooks so that you don't have to handle it manually. Now, why is that important? Because the minute you have a system like that, your costs of doing business drop dramatically. You become super competitive. So what's the downside? What's the problem? The problem is these are not simple systems. The idea that you're going to have somebody internally who's going to be able to optimize these systems is slim and none, because you can't afford, as a couple of $1 million company, the people who have the know-how and the capability to do that. But the accounting firm can and will. And so the accounting firm is going to be the resource behind making these work for their clients. And they can afford, and in fact can't afford not to have, the people as part of this process here that can do this. So when their service base is saying to their client, we provide you with your IT services and we manage them so that you don't have to. We handle all the complexity that's involved in these systems and make them available and make them work for your business so that you don't have to. That is music to an entrepreneur's ears. You mean I can go to my accounting firm, the advisor I trust and respect, and his firm is going to handle the office complexity for me. So when I sit down to develop my sales funnel, I'm going to be sitting down with somebody, or we'll be sitting down with people in the accounting firm who are going to understand our business, take that business, and put it into these systems so that my system for my company will be super competitive in my industry. And I don't have to go out there and search for 30 different consultants who I hope can work together to get this done and go through consultant after consultant after consultant who doesn't get the job done. I can just go to my CPA firm. This is what they do. They're the ones who are partnering with the companies providing all this. They're the ones who are specially trained to make sure my system's going to work the way these companies invented that system to work, and they're going to make it work for me. Man, I got to tell you, every day in business, I wish I could do that. Okay, but I can't. I, right now, can't go to my accountant. I can't go to anybody and get that done. I have to hire people and pray that they can get it done. And then they don't get it done, and then I have to go hire more people to get it done. Okay, I'm not a Fortune 500 company. I can't afford the kind of people in the depth of departments that they can afford. But my accounting firm, in a structure like this, where they're doing it for all of their clients, where they're trained by the companies that produce the software itself, and there's an integration between these companies who are our strategic partners and working with our accounting people to make them the bed of all of this, is how it happens. Okay, so this is designed so that what we do is we make life simple for the entrepreneur. We take all the things that they need to run their business, and we have to solve it for every company so we can afford to spend money on solutions that they could never afford to spend that money on. We can have the top people that they can't afford to have. We can have an integrated process with the people who manufacture these items to make sure our people are extraordinarily well trained to get the job done. It's kind of like you want to get your car fixed and you bought a Ford, okay, or you want to get your car fixed and you bought a Mercedes. You don't want to take it to Joe, the mechanic on your corner, right? You want somebody who's a factory-trained mechanic working on your car. You want to bring it to the dealer. You want the dealer to be able to fix your car because they're the people who know that car inside and out, and you just want to pick it up and go home. And you don't want to have to worry about, are they trained right? Who are these people? What do they know? What don't they know? If this guy doesn't fix the car, then what do I do? You know, then who else can I hire? In the meantime, I don't know anything about fixing a Mercedes, so I got to do something. Okay, it's no different. Okay, just think of this as a Mercedes dealership, where everything that goes into your business, we have factory-trained mechanics who handle everything. Make any sense to anybody but me?
Makes a lot of sense.
All right. What do people
I
love
can't
to
even
buy?
see it.
Pardon?
And I can't even see it.
You can't even see it. Wow. What do people love to buy? Simplicity, ease. Okay. They want to take anything complicated, they want to get rid of it, and they want it to be made simple and easy. And if you look at the history of the information industry, of which Bizarre Financing has been a part of since 1980, okay, there was a time in the information industries where you didn't worry about anything except putting the information out there. I mean, if you go back far enough, to get information, they put out a book. Okay, to get you information, they gave you a class. What you did with that information was totally up to you, and they didn't care. They gave you the information, and now it's your problem. So you got information. It wasn't enough to get the job done. You were left with the problem of how do you execute it, and most people failed to execute it properly because the information alone wasn't enough once the world got complex. So after a while, people wouldn't buy information-only services because they realized they were inadequate in today's complexity. So the information industry went to a different level. It became information with support. So anybody who gave you information, what did they have to add? They added email support. They added telephone support lines. They added a help desk. They added whatever it has to be that they gave you support. Now, would anybody today buy software that had no support? Nobody buys software today that doesn't have support unless it's real simple stuff. But anything with any complexity, I mean, you buy QuickBooks, you want support. You want to know that they're going to help you to use your system and get the most out of it. You buy Infusionsoft, you got to buy some level of support, or you're never ever going to get through it. Okay, so support became a key element to the point where the paradigm changed from here's the information, using it's your problem, to here's the information and we'll help you use it. Okay, now even that in today's level of complexity has become inadequate. Why has it become inadequate? Because even with help, people aren't skilled enough. They don't have the backgrounds. They don't have the education. They don't have the preliminary training to make it work. They are distracted in too many other directions so that even if you trained them and they know it, a month or two later, they've forgotten half of what you taught them because they've got other things to think of in the meantime. And then they go back to do what you trained them to do and they don't remember any of it because they've been distracted for the month doing something else. Okay, so even support doesn't work anymore. So now the paradigm in the information business is done for you. Done for you. And so what we're going to do with the accounting firm, we're going to convert them into a done for you organization. You want to put in an automated system into your company, you come to your accounting firm, you tell them what you want them to do. They're familiar with your firm because that's why you have them as your accountants, and everything you need that's complex is done for you. That's an easy sale now to entrepreneurs. They don't want information. They don't want information with support. They want somebody to just do it for them and get it done. And that's the conversion we're making to the accounting firm. They're going to become the center for the small to mid-sized business to solve that information dilemma and just get it done. Have I got that? Have I made everybody's head into spaghetti yet?
Close.
Close. Okay. Let me ask. Who was that said close? I couldn't tell
John.
the voice.
This is John.
John. Okay. John, yeah. Hi, John.
Hi.
Yeah. John. Let me ask you a question. Do you run any businesses now?
Just my own consulting business, which has been consulting in the oil and gas industry. So I've been working on projects for, it could be anywhere from a single individual up to $1 billion company. So.
Wow, that's a big range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
I was just going to say I've run the projects, but and I have run my own consulting business. But
okay, is that dilemma that I've been discussing something that either you've experienced or seen in the companies you work with?
oh, hey, when you're talking about the training and that endless loop, they go on training, come back, do some things, and yes, right on the money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, people in business are fed up with it. I mean, they really are. And they're out of options. They don't know what to do about it anymore. You know, it's like I got to progress my business, or I'm going to go backwards. And I can't progress my business because I can't get over this information gap of how do I have people working in my company who can always do what I need them to do when they're being, this month they're working on this, so I no sooner get them up to speed on that, then that gets finished for now. I move them to the next thing, and they work on that for a month or two. I no sooner get them up to speed on that, they got to go back to that other thing, and now nobody remembers what they did, how they did it, where they got the information from, where they put the information, because they don't do it every day.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare for small businesses.
Yeah, and it can be something very simple. I was working for one company, and I needed sort of wasn't like a mapping type program. Well, there was only sort of one person that knew that, but that was going to take 3 to 4 weeks to get access to that. Well, you don't have time for that. I need this now because I got a company coming at me that's saying we owe them $500,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
That's what happens out there. Okay. So the accounting firm is going to become the back office of all your small and mid-sized companies. So that whatever needs to get done, the expertise is there. They work on it every day. It's their specialty. They understand it. They're factory trained. When the technology changes, I mean, think about this, okay? You got your whole office staff working on Office on Office 2010, and all of a sudden you decide you've got to upgrade, okay? And it's now Office 2013. I will guarantee you got a gap in production for at least 3 weeks until everybody learns how to use the new version.
Yep.
Okay. Well, under the system that we're talking about here, it wouldn't work like that. Okay. Those upgrades would be planned. You'd have factory trained people literally come into your office, work with everybody to get them up to speed, within a day or two. And the transitions would be done by people who that's their expertise, and you won't have all that downtime because you'll have people available to you who this is what they do. They move you through that process, and they know what the process is because they do it every day. If you don't have access to that in the 21st century, you are not going to be in business long, because the complexity is now too vast. The speed at which things change requires specialists who this is what they do, this is what they know, and more importantly, they are trained in how to integrate it into the company to have that upgrade work and to have the new process put in. And so if you're using software or if you're using any kind of automation system and there's an upgrade, your in-house people aren't going to understand it. They're just not, unless you're a very big company where you have engineers, that's their full-time job, they specialize in it, They get trained in it, and now they move internally, they move the company through the process. You're a little guy, you're dead in the water. Okay, so this is the model of the 21st century, guys. This is where it's going. And we're going to help the accountants get there. We're going to help the companies get there. We're going to do it in a way that produces an abundance of business for us. That's the main reason we're doing this, is because what do we want? We want access to those clients. We want access to help them grow by acquisition. We want access to help them sell their companies. Okay, we provide the merger and acquisition service for the business. In fact, remember when I went through this illustration, how do we start? Do we start by blowing the accountant's mind and saying you got to do all this tomorrow? No, we start by saying the first two things you're going to do is you're going to put us in as your private equity company, your in-house private equity company, and your merger and acquisition arm. So don't worry about all that other stuff yet. That's coming, okay? Let's get started. Let's get started with something that can make you a lot of money today. And so this is where we start, okay? And then one by one, we'll be helping them to add different additional services. Now, at the point that they get to where it's now starting to get complicated internally, and there's no way to really get the financial planning client to the marketing group or the marketing people to work with the process optimization people, you know, it's already starting to get complicated. Well, that's when we introduce this new person, okay, this new person called a certified business strategist, new person that gets trained on how to take the accountant's clients and do a plan for them that moves them into all these other services. How do we do this? If you recall, the way we do that is you have the accountant has a client. Client's the business doing $20 million a year in sales. So what our certified business strategist does is he has a meeting with the accountant and they talk about the company. He finds out about the company, a little bit about the people who run the company, so enough so that he has a familiarity with the kind of the company and what they do. Then this person orchestrates one phone call, which is from the accountant who has been handling that account to the business owner, which just says, "Hi, John, I want you to meet our certified business strategist. There's something that he's going to do for you. He'll explain it, and it's going to make a huge difference in your profitability this year. John, here's Harry." All right. Harry gets on the phone. He says, "Hi, how are you? Here's what I'm going to be doing for you to help you make a lot more profit this year. We just completed your financial statements, and I've ordered out an RMA annual statement studies, which shows us exactly in your SIC code, in your industry, what all your competitors do with respect to their financials, what ratios they have, what they're good at, what they're not good at. In other words, a benchmark of every facet of your business. And we've ordered it out for your industry. And John, I want to meet with you on next Wednesday, and I'm going to go over your financials with you. I'm going to go over the RMA annual statement studies and show you how you rate against the competitors you face every day in your business. We're going to show you where your business is strong. We're going to show you where your business is weak. We're going to show you what you have to do to your business to become super competitive and knock your competitors out of the box. John, is Tuesday at 1 o'clock a good time for us to get together, or would 2:30 be better? Okay, that's how the appointment gets set. You now go, this business strategist now goes over and sees the person. Okay, they take out the person's financial statement. And this is probably the first time that any accountant from the accounting firm has ever sat down with that client and explained his financial statements to him. Guarantee it doesn't happen. Okay, I'll guarantee you that these guys prepare the financial statements, they ship them off to the client, and then it's the client's problem to go figure out what it all means. And most clients have no clue what that financial statement means. Having paid all that money to have the accountant prepare it, they usually look at two numbers, net worth and profit. They see if it's growing or shrinking from the last statement they got, and after that they throw it in the drawer and they don't look at it again until tax time. Okay, and even then they probably don't look at it much. They still go to the accountant and say, here, figure out my taxes. Okay, that's how it's done now. Well, now it's going to be different. We're going to have the business strategist sit down with that business owner. You're going to explain to him every number on his financial statement and every ratio, the debt to equity ratio, the sales to assets ratio, and what that means for their company, their quick ratios, their current ratios, everything and what it means to them. And then they're going to compare it to their industry, the benchmarks on the RMA annual statement studies. And they'll be able to take every one of those ratios and say, now see, here's where you're not as good as your competitors. Here's why your competitors will beat your pants off in cost, in their costing of goods sold, because their ratios here are X, and here's what it means. Okay, so after they explain the ratios and they explain the financial statement and they explain how they compare with the benchmarks and they show the owner, here's what you have to do to improve. Okay, so now the owner gets it, right? Oh, that's what my statements are telling me. Oh, that's what my competitors are doing. Oh, I need to be better than my competitors, or I'm not going to be doing business in profitability this year. Okay, so now the business strategist says, now, John, here's how we're going to bring your company up to where you can outcompete any of your competitors. Okay, you obviously need better marketing. So we're going to bring in our marketing people, and we're going to go through with you how we can bring your marketing up to where it's superior to any of your competitors. Here's how we're going to bring your process optimization up to where you're better than any of your competitors. Okay, and here's what we're going to do to bring your liquidity up to where it's equal to your competitors. We're going to bring you to our banker, and our banker is going to work with you to provide a lending environment where you're going to be able to have the liquidity that you need to properly operate your business. You know, John, you may need an investment, an equity investor in your business, and we'll bring in our investment banking division in order to get you that. Your people need training, or if without training, you're not going to have as much productivity in your company as you need. So we have our training company who will work with you to bring that up to speed. Whatever it is that they need, whatever they don't need, you're not going to be doing, right? You know, you're at a bad facility right now. It's inadequate. You don't have enough. You're too cramped here. You're not going to achieve your efficiency goals because you've got people falling all over each other. They can't get out of each other's way. We got to get you a bigger facility. So we're going to have our real estate people work with you to find you the best facility and to help you negotiate the very best pricing for the purchase of that for that facility. And when it comes time to get it financed, we'll bring you through our mortgage banking group to make sure you get the lowest cost and best financing to get that. Now, you need equipment to put in there. We're going to bring you to our asset-based lending division that'll help you put in that equipment and put it in at the best rates. You're going to be buying one of your competitors because this is how one of the ways that we'll get you in order. So we'll bring you into our merger and acquisition group. We'll help you buy up some of your competitors. They'll be introducing you to our asset-based lending division, who will help you to leverage the cost of those acquisitions. And I could just go on and on and on, helping them with their logistics, alternative methods of financing, research to improve their marketing position or their developmental position, securities to properly secure their digital vulnerabilities, their physical security vulnerabilities, all based around this business strategist and their ability to sit down and compare financial statements to show weaknesses and strengths and what has to be fixed. And because we'll have bigger margins than anyone else in this business because of the way in which this is all pulled together and marketed, that's what aggregation does, we have the ability to give the clients an unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. So no more of this sitting down with consultants, getting half answers, having to figure it out for yourself. You get somebody who will do it for you, and if you're not satisfied, they'll keep on doing it until you're satisfied, or you get your money back if we can't satisfy you. And how can we afford that guarantee? Because we make more money in this structure than anybody else who's an individual practitioner. Okay, we can afford to do this, and we can afford, because of the method in which we approach it, to not have to exercise this very often, because the idea is we get it done for these people. That's what we do. And we bring in the best people. We work through relationships to the folks who are managing this process. None of these service providers are strangers. They're people we have relationships with. If they're not good at what they do, we don't keep them. We replace them until every one of these is operated by a person who has the ability to deliver in quality and quantity what's needed from them. And the accounting firm becomes a platform for phenomenal growth services to their clientele. And when they do that, they're going to lock that client in forever. They're going to one of the two accounting firms that three accounting firms that we're talking to now. We're talking to them each for a different reason. The one out of Phoenix has developed a process of, they don't bill on an hourly basis, their clients. They don't bill on an hourly basis. They bill on a project. So in other words, you want a certain thing done, it's X number of dollars, and no matter how long it takes the accounting firm, if they do it quick, if they do it slow, it doesn't matter. It's the same cost. You're paid the cost, and you get it done, okay? Their margins are double the accounting profession. In other words, they've got it all systematized to where when you buy any service from them, you're buying it for a fixed amount. It's a contract. You get the work done. It's fixed. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen just the way they say it's going to happen, and they've trained everybody to deliver it with continuity and a high level of quality. What we're going to do is take that process that this accounting firm has perfected and use it to upgrade many of the accounting firms that we bring into this process. And that alone will double their margins and improve their customer satisfaction to a huge extent. Remember, one of the things that I've always stressed, if you're going to do acquisitions, you can't acquire a company and then run it the same way that the seller did. If you do, you will never be able to really justify the purchase price, because everything you make out of the company is going to go into paying for it. You've got to figure out a way that when you own the company, you're going to make more money out of that company than the seller did. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by being able to acquire accounting firms where we put into it a process that immediately makes them more profitable than they were before, that immediately improves their cash flow, that immediately produces resources and assets that make it easy to pay the purchase price of that accounting firm. And once we put that into an accounting firm, they become a platform for acquisition, because now they can acquire other accounting firms and plug their system now that we've trained them in and help them make work, so that they can now acquire other firms and add value to those firms immediately upon that acquisition. So this has all been really well thought out. We have identified our allies and who we want to bring into this process, because we knew what we were looking for, and we knew when we found them that they were the right people, the right firms to do this. So the first firm that we found was the one that had that capability. The second firms that we found, which were the ones out of New York, these are the folks who have already experimented with the adding of additional services to their service offerings. They still have the old processing of trading dollars for hours, hours for dollars rather, but they've increased their revenue streams by adding other services. So what we have in the accounting firms we've identified so far are accounting firms that have solutions to other accounting firms that are going to enable them to make more money out of their client base. That same firm, by the way, out of Phoenix, is headed by a guy who has built his firm because he has the ability to add almost 2,000 clients a year to his firm. He's got the marketing of how you bring in new clients down cold. I mean, cold. Almost no accounting firm has that down cold. That's their biggest challenge, is how do they get leads? How do they get new clients? So we're bringing those two solutions from one accounting firm to roll that into all the other accounting firms that we acquire. And the other firms that we either acquire or align with, we don't need them to have that process because we're going to bring it to them. What we need is people of like values and like mind who recognize this is where the accounting profession is going. They want to get there, and they want to do it with people who can help them get there bigger, faster, better than they ever could have done it on their own. So we've identified strategically who our allies are, why we want them as allies, and how we make them allies. I'm out of breath.
All right, cool. Well, Gordon, just
All right.
just a reminder, we've got a call in 13 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I probably need that much of a break just to get my head back on straight. Anyway, I'm glad I recorded this because this is the kind of thing where if you probably listen to it a dozen times, it'll help reinforce what all of this is about. And my task, if you can help me with it, is great, is to go back to these things right here. Where are they? Right here. And help me, if there's any way you can, to figure out how we tune down these two items, the what do we do and how we do it, to tighten this up so we don't have to use words that people don't understand, and we can keep it, short and sweet and impactful, because that's where I'm going to get this if it kills me. is to that level. See, these others are there. Okay, these others are short and sweet and right to the point. They're enough to get people's interest and then give us the opportunity to get into deeper explanations because they want to know more. But these two are still a little weak yet, and I want to tighten these up to where it tells the story, but it tells it without using any words people aren't likely to understand. All right, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Great. All right, perfect.
Good story.
Okay. All righty then. Who are we seeing in 13 minutes?
The guys from SkyHub. So they're going to go through. So Doug Sumner and the lady who's put the forecasts together, and
Okay.
Steve Millard. I think he's going to be there as well on the call. I sent through an email with that document. So they're going to go through that, so you might want to just open that up and have a really.
All right. What role do you want me to play in this?
Well, they're going to explain the forecast. So I guess the role is just to assess what they're saying, and I guess have any questions that you think is relevant or not relevant, or we need more information.
Okay. All right. So I'll see you in what, 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully I didn't spaghettify everybody's head.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.